Everybody, it is 6:30 on March 6th, 2026, and I would like to call this meeting of the Holyoke City Council Committee on Charter and Rules to order. In chambers with us tonight are the Vice Chair of the committee, Councilor Linda Bacon, and Member Councilor Rick Purcell. With us online is Councilor Howard Graney, and also with us in chambers is Councilor Patty Devine. And I see our City Solicitor, Mike Bissonette, as well. And
Just as a point of order, you said on March 6th is May 6th.
May 6th, thank you, yes. Well, it looks like March 6th out there, come on. And the entire committee is here, and I believe that means we don't have to read the warning.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point, I would entertain a motion to take agenda.
Make a motion to take up item 1.
Second.
All in favor?
Madam Chair,
Yes,
did you announce Councilor Graney?
I
Councilor
did.
Graney is at the meeting, but I'm on Zoom.
I did, I believe.
You did.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
You weren't being heard on the television.
Well, I will speak more,
Now you are.
okay.
Now
into
you
the-
are.
That was our mistake in the control room. There was just a mute button that needed to be unmuted.
Okay, thank you. 'Cause I don't want
Mystery
to.
solved.
Yes, don't want to overlook anyone. So, item 1 is the minutes of the April 8th, 2026 meeting.
Motion to accept.
There a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, item number,
Motion to take up item 2.
thank you.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And item number 2 is from Councilors McGrath, Smith, and Purcell, ordered that the City Council adopt a home rule petition petitioning for the right to locally prevent the sale and use of escars despite state preemption. And we tabled this last time in order to see possible revised legal language from City Solicitor Bissonette. And do we have that language? Because it all looks, it looks very professional and very much like the language that we have seen from other cities. So, Councilor Bissonette?
I don't see it.
Sorry about that. Good evening.
Good evening. Is there anything we needed to do to put this potential order into proper form besides substitute Holyoke for the town of Arlington?
No, I don't believe so. And then it would go in as a home rule petition from the city of Holyoke.
Okay. Well, in that case, is there, because I think we discussed this and agreed that it was a good thing last time, is there a motion to have it put in the proper form for a home rule petition so we can vote it out to the full city council?
I'll make that motion, Madam Chair.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, and I will take advice about whether we want to have it sent directly to the city council or whether it should come up back to us for review before we send it to them.
I like the things to come back, but it's the will of the committee.
Well, as long as we can get another meeting, I have no problem with it coming back.
I don't either. We have another meeting in 2 weeks anyway. The charters and rules.
Do we?
We have 2 meetings this month.
Well, I wanted to. I have a feeling that I gave up a date for the budget hearings. But we will find another one. We will do this. Okay, on to item 3.
Motion to take up item 3.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And item 3 is a order from Panich and Devine, ordered that the Holyoke City Council petition the General Court to amend the residency requirement set forth in Section 45 of the Holyoke Charter as it relates to elected officials. The current provision requires that a candidate for elected office have been a resident of the city for the prior 2 years and should be reviewed for both the desirability of the policy and its consistency with state law. And we did discuss this last time in Counselor Devine's absence, and there was both some uncertainty about what we could do under state law and some uncertainty about what time period, if any, there should be a residency requirement for. And, I did not want to move this forward, even to ask for legal language for it, until Counselor Devine had a chance to talk to us about it.
Thank you, thank you.
So the issue, no,
I was just going to say, I never even realized that that was a provision that you had to be here for 2 years before you could run for office. So it is what it is, I guess. I was trying to think if I knew anybody that had not been here for at least 2 years living, and how do you check that out? When they run for office, who does the checking? So,
yeah, that was part of what we got tangled up in.
Yeah.
Like, who counts, how you count if somebody has lived here all their life and moves away for a year and comes back.
right,
And, if you are content to leave it as is, we can certainly do that.
yeah. Whatever the pleasure of the committee is fine with me.
Yes, Councillor Bacon.
Well, we haven't run into any challenges or problems with it as it's written. So I think we're good to leave it as it is. When I went in to review the matters around the state law,
Yeah.
I found references that it's okay to have this and that different communities have it different ways. So I think we're okay. And in the case where somebody had been in town and had left town and had come back, there was not, this was not seen to be disqualifying. So I think it leaves the flexibility we want to have too for people who say go away to school and then return to the community. It didn't seem to rule them out. So
So, is there a motion?
I'd make a motion that we keep it, section 45, as it's currently written.
Okay, so, leave to withdraw.
Oh, is that how you
Well,
want
no,
it?
I don't know. I am asking for advice about how we dispose of this.
Okay, so
since
let's
There seems
see.
to be no
Petition.
controversy yet. Unless Councillor Purcell would like to speak up and say anything about this.
I have nothing to say. I mean, I've known of a city councillor that, I'm sorry. I've known of a city councillor that lived in Holyoke for a long time, left for Holyoke, and ran for election, and had only been living in Holyoke a year when he ran for city council. And this is after he came out. But he lived in Holyoke all his life, and then
Right.
moved to South Hadley and came back, and only lived for a year.
And it wasn't
It
considered.
wasn't a problem then, so.
Okay, so yeah.
Okay, so then I guess I would give it leave to withdraw. I guess
Yeah.
I sort of like saying complied with, but.
No, I'm happy with complied with.
But that we've reviewed it and it's not causing harm, so, and it said should be reviewed for blah, blah, blah. So I would make a motion that it's complied with and we're recommending no change.
Great, thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Motion to take up item 4.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Item 4 was an order from Councillor Sullivan, ordered that the City Council amend its rules to establish clearer and more stringent guidelines governing public comment, including but not limited to requiring that individuals participating remotely keep their cameras on while speaking during public comment. And where we left this was, I think, either with research about what was allowable or with a request to the city solicitor to draw it up into legal form so that we could deal with it.
I thought we asked the city solicitor for legal forms saying that the participant would provide their name and address
Yeah.
and/or ward,
Yes.
but I don't see legal form.
I don't see legal form either, and I understand that the city solicitor has been kind of hammered. So
So should we leave it on the table?
I think we should leave it on the table and ask to have it for next time.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to table awaiting legal form.
I will second. All in favor? Aye.
Madam Chair, excuse me, Counselor Jenny Rivera is also online.
Oh,
I just
welcome,
noticed.
Councillor Rivera. Good.
Motion to take up item 5?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. And item 5 is from Councillor Murphy Ramboletti, ordered that the City Council consider adding a new rule to Section 2 meetings, that if a councillor attends regular meetings of the City Council remotely for more than 2 consecutive meetings, a written explanation shall be provided to the Council President. Councillors who choose to participate remotely will be asked to participate with their camera on. Written explanations should also be provided for the full council. And Councillor Murphy Ramboletti is not with us to speak to this order. And, I would suggest that we leave it tabled until later in the meeting in case she can join us.
I'll make a motion to table.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Motion to take up item 6?
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Item 6, also from Councillor Murphy Ramboletti, ordered...
Or do you want to wait?
Yeah, I think that makes sense. And again, this is subject to anyone's objection who wants to talk about either of these now.
All right, so it's on the table.
Okay, so we'll leave it on the table.
All right,
And item number 7 is a motion to take up
did
item.
we take 6 off the table? I thought
I don't know whether we formally did or not, but practically I think we did.
You did.
we did?
I believe you did.
All right, well, I only have a question. I'm only wondering why it came up, because I've never heard of it before. And I'm just wondering what the background was, which is why I was thinking
Yeah.
maybe table it again because
Yeah,
we
no,
could understand that.
Exactly. The
Yeah.
maker of the order can
Yeah.
explain it to us.
Right.
Wait, she's here.
Oh, okay.
Councillor
Oh, see?
Murphy Ramboletti.
Took up enough time at work.
Yes.
Hey, hi, how are you guys? Sorry, I am a few minutes late to the meeting. I didn't realize you'd already be on 6. Is that what you're on?
We're on item 6, but we tabled item 5 so we could go back to it. If you,
Okay, cool.
So-
Whatever you want to do.
motion to bring back up item 5?
Second.
All in favor?
Are you ready for
Aye.
me?
Yes.
Okay. And we already
Okay.
read item 5, which is the one
Okay,
about,
cool.
so,
So I filed this because I've gotten questions from the public, and it put me in a weird position because I didn't if it put me in a weird position because folks are obviously asking like where people are on their when they zoom into full council meetings. To be clear, this is not about subcommittee meetings. I know that we've all gotten some pushback on if we zoom into subcommittee meetings or not. I think it's completely reasonable for folks to be zooming in, but this was more of a matter of transparency for the regular council meetings. I think folks, if they're curious, and I've gotten feedback like, you're the president, you don't know where people are. I don't really think I need to know exactly where folks are, but if it's consistently that people have to zoom in, I think that it's just a matter of knowing what to anticipate. Sometimes I don't even get really a heads up that folks are gonna come on Zoom for a full meeting. And if it's for a lot of meetings, I just feel like it's something that we need to discuss. So obviously I'm not trying to, this is another rule where I'm like, can I enforce this? Is that possible? But I said I would file it because I think it's a fair discussion to have. And that was really what I wanted to do with that.
okay, thank you. Comments, questions?
I got it.
Go for it.
So I I don't think there's anything wrong, through the chair, Madam President, especially if you're getting a written explanation and you know the answer to why that person is doing what they're doing, and the people that are questioning you, do you have to get back to them, or can you just say you know the reason and it's legitimate? I don't.
No, I would have to, I'm not trying to publicize it. I noticed, am I crazy? I think I saw it in the minutes that something got amended to my order and added at the end. Is that right?
Oh, yes, I see that. It says it right. It says written explanation should be provided to the full council.
Yeah,
Never mind what I just said. I didn't read that part. Sorry.
No, that's okay. I didn't initially put that in there. I wasn't trying to add that. I understand people have reasoning. I just think it's fair if folks are, I think it changes the dynamic of our meetings, and this is also why I brought up item number 6, because I did want to have the discussion on, if folks have to zoom in, and it's for a regular full meeting of the council, I think it's only fair that we just set a certain parameter for the body. If we're gonna, I've heard discussions about other subcommittees that, might only meet on Zoom, and folks don't like that. And so it kind of led to these conversations that folks have been bringing up with me about, regular attendance, and I don't even know if anyone can tell me, I don't remember who added that to that last sentence should be, but I don't know what other folks think, so that's all. Thought it was worth a discussion.
Councillor Bacon.
I think it's worth discussion, but I would say that I don't believe it's enforceable, because it is by law that we and others can attend meetings by Zoom. And given that we're all independently elected, we don't have any reporting lines within the council. So I don't find it to be enforceable. And I would also make note that we've often been quite loose with following our own rules within the council, regardless of which rule it is. So I think it is trying to add too much bureaucracy where it isn't needed. And if constituents want to know where we are, they can reach out to us and ask us. Thank you.
Yes. And Councillor Murphy-Ramboletti.
Madam,
Oh, I'm sorry.
You can have Councilor Graney can go. He hasn't spoken on it yet.
Okay, Councillor Graney.
yeah, just quickly, what about confidentiality? What if somebody's sick, they have an illness or sickness, they want to come to the council, but they don't want anybody, it's nobody's business to know what their illness or sickness is or something like that. I mean, this thing has too many loose holes in it, as far as I can see. And certainly the confidentiality of the council is something that I would like to preserve myself. But as like Councilor Bacon said, if anybody wants to know why you're not at a meeting, they can reach out and call you, and you pick up the phone and you tell them why you weren't at the meeting, if it's any of their business.
Thank you.
That's all.
Yes. Councillor Murphy-Ramboletti.
Sure. Just to that, if folks get sick, obviously that's understandable. If someone's sick for 2 months and is coming in on Zoom like a lot, then I would also just worry about their capacity to be a counselor, myself included. I mean, if I Zoom into a lot of subcommittee meetings, but as president, I don't Zoom into any full council meetings. And if I'm going to, then I don't run the meeting. I don't, that's a sacrifice I make. I'm expected to be in council chambers, and I just think that that's why I put the thing in there that says more than 2 consecutive meetings. Obviously, people are I missed the last meeting. I'm allowed, and I don't have to provide an explanation on why I wasn't at the last meeting. I can. I usually, will tell people that I trust and are close to me, but like, I'm not trying to say that someone has to like inform people of like what's going on, but as long as it's I think it's fair to ask for communication to the council president if someone's gonna be zooming into, many consecutive meetings. It seems like a matter of transparency. I don't feel super strongly about this rule either way. And just for the record, I kind of resent hearing that I'm loosely following rules as council president. And so I'll just say that because I follow the rules and I use the same discretion that other presidents have used to follow the rules. So thank you. That's all.
Councillor Divide and then Councillor Bacon.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I can certainly understand this order that the president has put in for your committee. And I was certainly very vocal a few weeks ago when we heard that the planning board only do things by Zoom. So that if you wanted to go before the planning board, you couldn't physically do that. And I think this is probably on the same lines. And also, one of the other things I'm thinking of, every time that we come in for a full city council meeting, we have all the paperwork on the table for us to sign. So if a city councilor isn't here consecutively, we have to find out if they want those items signed. So that kind of makes it a little difficult as well. So I think it's certainly worth talking to more about and going from there. Again, I wanted to preface the point that I made about the planning board being only on Zoom. Thank you.
Councillor Bacon?
Oh, I only wanted to clarify that my comment was meant about the council on the whole. It was not directed at the president.
Thank you. Okay, my turn, I guess.
Madam Chair, one more comment, please?
I'm sorry, Councillor Rainey?
Yeah, why don't we just eliminate Zoom for the meetings and everybody has to show up?
Well, if I may answer that, I am going to agree with Councillor Bacon to the extent that I don't think we can eliminate it. And I don't think it's desirable. I think that it is perfectly reasonable that some councillors will have family plans and travel plans that make it much more desirable for them to be on Zoom than to be here. I think that our constituents elect us knowing that this flexibility exists. I think that a strict no Zoom, no 2 consecutive meetings even policy would destroy our ability to attract candidates who have various medical issues. There are people who are genuinely immune compromised and are in danger if they are always showing up physically, even in this space where fortunately we have air scrubbers. There are people who, just for whatever reason, have difficulties participating live. And although I understand that that changes the dynamic, I think that we should respect that, and people need their privacy. As Councillor Graney said, I don't see where we want to necessarily demand medical information from people, let alone have it distributed to the full city council. It's nobody's business but yours if you have to be at home, and it isn't always a cognitive challenge. Just because you can't be here live doesn't mean your mind isn't working, and it doesn't mean you're ill-informed. And I would not like to see this policed the way we are seeking to police it, apparently. And that is just my opinion, and I see Councillor Murphy-Ramboletti's hand.
Yeah, this is the last thing I'll say on it, and you guys don't have to pass this rule change. It's fine. The discussion's important enough. But I just think maybe if we all kind of gave each other a little respect, I wouldn't have to follow a rule like this. So I guess if we could just establish some sort of understanding that like Jeffrey does print stuff out. He doesn't always know if people are coming. If you're gonna miss like a bunch of meetings and zoom into them, that's totally fine. My point was not to like get rid of Zoom altogether, and that's like literally like the opposite of what I'm trying to do. This rule didn't say that you can't not zoom in for more than 2 consecutive meetings. It just says that you should probably like give someone some consideration to let them know that you're not planning to be in person for an extended period of time, because it really is, maybe folks would understand if they had run a full council meeting repeatedly, but like it's a different thing to have to monitor. And I think it's fair to our constituents for them to know that we're fully present and we're fully committed to our full council meetings. There's no way for me to tell where people are, if they're driving in the car, if they're paying attention. I guess it's just like some common respect. So that's really it. You guys can say that this has been complied with and we don't have to go any further with it. The one that I do care a lot more about is item number 6.
Can I,
I'll make,
Mimi,
Oh, who was first?
me, and I.
Thank you.
So, through you to the council president, Madam Chair, if we took out the written explanation should be provided to the full council, would that be acceptable to you, Counselor?
Yeah,
Yes,
I
sir.
never had that in the original language anyway. Someone added that when I wasn't there.
Because I like it. It's just I don't think that the whole council needs to know, because it might be a very personal reason why that person's zooming in. That's the only problem I have with it, is that last line. That's all.
That was not my original order, so I understand. But either way, I don't feel strongly one way or another how this one goes.
Councillor Bacon.
I would like to make a motion that this has been complied with the agreement of the maker.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Item number 6, which we were in the process of taking up or possibly putting down again.
I think it's up.
Ordered that the City Council discuss and possibly amend Rule 2A so that regular meetings of the full City Council would start at 6:30 p.m. unless otherwise noted. And Councillor Murphy Ramboletti?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I filed this because I've just heard from different people that this is something that we should just try to discuss. I wasn't filing it because I feel strongly one way or the other, but I feel strongly about us having a conversation about starting at 6:30. The main reason why I wanted to suggest 6:30 is because, for a couple reasons, the committee meetings start at 6:30 usually, and it doesn't usually seem to be a problem for folks. So I thought that it would be more consistent, because especially like sometimes people in the public are not sure when our committee meetings start because they think they start at the same time as the council meetings. The other reason why I wanted to have this discussion is because I do know that our meetings have been shorter lately. We are finishing before the 10 p.m. time that we created a rule for ourselves for. Since January, the meetings have been averaging like a couple hours. So if we start at 6:30, we could end at, maybe we'd end by 8:30 or 9. I know there's parents on the council, and including our Madam Clerk. And I've talked to some parents who would prefer to be home earlier in an effort to not miss bedtime entirely. So I'm respectful of that. And I know that years and years ago, I was talking to the clerk and she was talking about how when she was on the city council, the meetings went from 7:30 to 7. So I just think it's been a while since we reconsidered that. And I'm not expecting you guys to make a decision tonight, especially if not everyone's able to weigh in on this conversation. But I would love to hear from others on how they feel about a 6:30 start time versus 7 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Devine?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. personally, I like the 6:30 time, especially that all our subcommittee meetings are at 6:30, and I don't see people running in here or being late. If they are, maybe it's once in a blue moon. And as an old timer, I will tell you that when I first got on the city council, meetings started at 8, okay?
Wow.
And usually they were done by 8:45. But one of the reasons they did it was because of wakes. That was during the days when the wakes were 2 to 4 and 7 to 9. So that's why they did it at 8 o'clock. But that's no longer the case. I would prefer the 6:30 meeting. I think it seems like everybody's here for subcommittee meetings at 6:30. So that would be my vote, that we start our regular meetings at 6:30 as well. And I think that does get us out earlier, especially in the wintertime if snow's bad. And we still do the work that we do, it's just we do it a half an hour earlier.
Okay, thank you. And Councillor Purcell, and I also wanted to note that Councillor Masonette has joined us on Zoom.
I completely agree with everything Patty just said, but my only pause was, why was it changed? And there was no real explanation, then no real change, like, I mean, I understand the wait part, but and I really, really, really think that it's helpful to the parents. So I have no problem with starting at 6:30. I just wanted to hear from a longtime counselor why it was set at 7 forever, and then how long, like you said, 8 o'clock and all the different times. So I don't have a problem with the change.
I can answer that it was 8 o'clock for a long time, but that was mostly because of other city councilors that, God rest their souls, are not.
Microphone.
Are not here.
Your microphone.
Oh, sorry. Thanks, Jeff. We started at 8 o'clock because that was the way it was done. And it was done for the reasoning that I told you, because of wakes 2 to 4, 7 to 9. And then, God rest the souls of some of the older counselors that are no longer here, they like the 8 o'clock. So once we did it gradually. So we went to 7:30, and everybody said, that's great, we'll do 7:30. And then we sort of said, why don't we try 7? And it worked. So now I think Tess, I don't want to put words in Tessa's mouth, but if we're always here at 6:30 for subcommittee meetings, I don't see why we can't be here at 6:30 for regular city council meetings. That way everybody knows what time it's going to be. So, thanks.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Councilor Graney supports this order vehemently. I think it's a great idea. It's common sense. It makes good sense. I think we could all get there at 6:30. At least for myself, sometimes I have difficulty getting there because I'm involved with, another person and so forth.
Yeah.
But a 6:30 start should not be any problem for me. So if it's not a problem for me, maybe other people wouldn't have a problem either. Thank you.
Thank you. And Councillor Murphy-Ramboletti, your hand
I
is
just
up.
wanted to add one thing that I meant to say earlier. If this did pass at whatever point, I wouldn't anticipate us to pass this and have it take effect like right now. This could be something maybe that starts, I understand that people have planned their lives perhaps around the 7 o'clock start time. So I didn't want to have it necessarily start as soon as you guys pass it. Maybe it's one of those things that will take effect after the summer recess, or if it's January 1st. I don't know. I just didn't want people to feel it had to be something that is effective immediately. So for what it's worth, I just wanted to add that piece. Thank you.
Thank you. And Councillor Masonette, yes.
Hi.
Hi.
Sorry.
We see
Can
your
you guys
hand.
hear me? Yeah, I think this is a great idea, and even if it doesn't start right away in the wintertime, that we lose sunlight, it's great to be home before 9 o'clock. So I just think it's a great idea, and as a parent, I love this.
Okay. And for what it's worth, I certainly have no problem with 6:30. We're doing it for everything else.
I don't either.
Okay, so Councillor Purcell.
Just one more thing. In regards to the start time, if the committee itself were to say yes tonight, it goes to the full city council, and that's when we can get input from the rest of the city councilors as to if they agree with the 6:30 time, and then we can figure out when it'll officially start. That's all, thank you.
Yeah. Counselor Bacon.
So I wanted to offer a motion that we adopt this new rule and recommend that it begin after the beginning of the new fiscal year. And that a date certain could be chosen, but that it wouldn't happen before that. Yeah. Yes. So it would be after July 1st.
Well, second, I don't see any objection from the maker of the order.
No, that makes sense to me.
Okay, made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
So motion,
Motion to take up item 7?
second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And item 7 is an order from Councillor Bacon that the City Council appoint a qualified treasurer in accordance with our charter as voted in January 2025. The HR director posts the position with the minimum qualifications. The position has now been vacant since February 2026, and the 60-day appointment has expired. Councillor Bacon.
Thank you. So this order is essentially tabled at City Council at this point. And the only note that I would make, because I heard objection that we didn't have a range of candidates, is the fact that last session, the full City Council unanimously voted to have the position posted, and then the mayor instructed the HR director not to post it. So that's why we've never had any applicants to choose from other than perhaps people we already knew. But nonetheless, we've already had, and I imagine we may have one more, if not more, debates relative to it. But right now, it's with the City Council. So I almost think it's complied with here because it's not here anymore.
Yeah, I did want to make sure that you had the opportunity to bring it up here.
But were you looking to get it considered complied with because it's at City Council?
Yeah, no, that works
Or-
for me, as long as it works for you.
Well, it's before us.
Yeah,
So,
okay, motion
I
that it's
think-
been complied with?
yeah.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Motion to take up item 8.
second, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Number 8 is from Panich and Talheimer, ordered that the council rules be examined and revised as necessary to clarify the Rule 9 provisions relating to legal form and committee procedure. And you have before you an extremely grotty draft of a new set of rules. And they have not been reviewed by the city solicitor yet, but they are intended to address, both the fact that I have noticed that our previous set of rules have not been routinely complied with, and what confused me about what our practice has been and what the actual rule was about. So, whatever the will of the body is, if you would like to discuss the draft tonight, if people had a chance to see it, if people want to take it away and think about it some more and take it up again at the next meeting, I'm fine with that. But, as I say, I do have serious concerns with the rule as it exists, and that's why we filed this order. And Councillor Bacon.
Thank you. So this rule was just rewritten last year under the former chair
Yes.
out of a desire to clarify it. And the major clarification that was made was that the committee should be developing the language that legal would then put in legal form, as opposed to a practice that had begun where legal form was being provided before debate or discussion in committee. So part of the reason for the rewrite was to get things in the correct order rather than having things initiated from somewhere other than the order and discussion in committee. And then the rest of it was an attempt at clarifying how that would happen. Now, since we rewrote the rule, We have very often had chairs of committees requesting legal form, which was totally not the intent of the rule, which was to have the committee debate, discuss, and then request legal form. So I remain committed to the fact that I think the committees are the proper place for the debate and discussion and then the request for legal form to be made. I think it should not be coming to us from a city executive department as the legislative body. And then as committees, I do not believe there's anywhere in any of our documents where we give authority to a chair to act on behalf of a full committee. And I think that would be, I'm not saying it shouldn't or couldn't be considered, but it would be a huge departure from the way that the committee debate, discussion process happens and then comes back to the city council. Now, I've only read this quickly, so I don't have a lot of notes on it, but I thought I saw in it somewhere where even a person who wasn't even on the committee could request a legal form for an order, and
Yes.
I can't picture how that would work, but I do think it's worth a lot more discussion, but I'm not sure I'm ready to have it tonight, but
Yeah,
but-
no, I did not expect.
will of the committee.
Yeah, no, I did not expect that this be put forward tonight because it is complex. It is a change both from the existing rule and from anything that I've observed in my 4 months here. But this is the counterargument as I see it. Where there is something complex, where a problem has been dropped in the committee's lap and we need to figure out how anything, any kind of ordinance could or should address it. Something like, for instance, the many cars on that one property. The committee has to talk about it along with any counselor who has an interest in it. We have to figure that out, and there is no point in asking for legal language until we have figured it out.
Correct.
Because what is our poor city solicitor to do with that?
Right.
On the other hand, where you've got something and, something like, and I know we're going to have to debate this, the orders that I put forward to change the voting threshold for ordinances. Those are single sentence or two sentence changes to material already in place. It is not difficult to draft them. It may be a difficult decision, it may be a complex issue, but the drafting is dead simple, and our time is so limited. We have to work in open meetings. We do not and should not be huddling together figuring things out behind the scenes. But we have only a few hours together. And to me, it seems like a recipe for endless and unnecessary delay to have, first the discussion about should we go by majority rule rather than supermajority rule? Are we going to vote to send it out to our city solicitor to be put in legal form when the difference between legal form and the initial proposal is basically just how the document is formatted, and wait 2 weeks or more for it to come back and then discuss it again and have to potentially refer it back because of trivial changes. And the next thing you know, at least in my observation, something that could have been before us and only the substance debated, because legal form is just formatting, is taking months. And the months go by and nothing is done. And I don't think that is remotely desirable or remotely necessary. I just don't see the point. And the reason that I drafted these initial notes with any maker of an order can ask for legal form is I'm assuming that if you want something complicated, you're not going to be asking for legal form. And if you don't, so what if you're not sitting on ordinance? You're sending it to ordinance. Let us have the actual document, because there's no real difference in our debate. if the language that isn't in legal form is the same as the language that is in legal form. So that's my thought. I just want something efficient, and I want people to understand when they're supposed to ask. And questions, comments? Councillor Bacon?
I would only say that the committee process, where even if it looks simple, if the legal form words are simple, it doesn't necessarily mean that the issue is simple. And the legal form is supposed to be requested after we have the debate and discussion. So if a person is making the order, they already have their opinion of what they want. So if that person is asking for legal form, they're going to ask for the form that they want. Now, the discussion and debate may end up that way, but it may end up a different way, or it may end up somewhere in between one way and another way. But that is the democratic process that is happening. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time. In the example that you give about the vote, I agree. I think it is a hot topic, but it's not all that complicated. And I wouldn't imagine that it could take months to do it, even if you do 2 steps instead of 1. But I think the steps and the process are important. So that's just my perspective on it. And if you have too many people requesting legal form, I think you could end up with legal having all kinds of requests for legal form. But where is the committee on it? And so I just think it could get chaotic. But anyway, that's just a quick answer, and I think maybe we all need to look at it more and think about it more, but.
Councillor Devine?
Yeah, I agree with Councillor Bacon. I remember when I first came back, and there seemed to be legal forms requested, and then they'd say, oh, well, we're going to request a different one. We're going to cross this out and put this, and I kept saying, the law department has a lot to do already, and now we're asking them continuously, could we have a legal form on this? And then whoever requested that, the committee may say, well, we don't really like that one, we'd like another one. And I think you're putting the law department in a position where that's, they've got a lot to do. And now that, if they're going to me, I remember the days when you asked for legal opinion, sometimes you didn't even have to ask. It was given to us automatically for our vote. And you do have City Solicitor Bissonnette on the line, so maybe he can give us a little, an idea. Thanks.
Councillor Purcell?
So my question is simple. I think it's simple. The ordinance committee is the only one that requests a legal form, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Yeah, ordinance committee is the only committee that requests legal form. We don't request legal form in DNGR, So, ordinance committee, do your job, and then we won't have to worry about it. I'm kidding. Just, that's all. Thank you. I just wanted to make sure.
And I do want to run this by Councillor. I'm sorry I keep doing that.
I do it
City Solicitor Bissonnette. We've had some conversations about this via email, but certainly his opinion is critical. So, Councillor Solicitor Bissonnette.
If you look at other legislative entities at federal and state level, to file legislation, it already has to be informed as it's filed. Then it gets sent to committee, it gets massaged, it gets changed, gets rewritten, and then it comes out. That doesn't happen here. Basically, you get a topic sent to the ordinance committee. Sometimes it comes with some extraneous dialogue, let's call it, why the maker thinks this is a good idea. Under that, the committee has to decide, is this something we want to put in ordinance? Do we want to make an ordinance change? And at that moment, the decision is reached whether to send it to law or not. That's not the only point at which that decision can be reached, though. I mean, it is not rocket science, as my good friend the chairperson points out. that this is not work when there's only a minor change that's going to require a Herculean effort to get it done. Some things are different. Some things do take more time. We spent an inordinate amount of time on the MME, but it got done through a lot of changes. That's the kind of thing that the committee system is set up for. For minor changes, I think it's good to get a form in front of the committee, let them see what it is. If they approve that language, then go ahead and put it in ordinance form, send it up to the council. It's really not part of our job to determine how that's going to be presented. If you want it before your council meeting, that's fine. If you want it during the meeting, we certainly are there to give input during the meeting on what changes are acceptable, where they might fit in the ordinance, or in your case, of this committee, in the charter. Happy to do any or all of that, but we can't determine in the law department when it's appropriate for us to submit something that you need to do your job. I'm assigned to work with you, and I'm happy to do that on any number of topics. I do appreciate the chairs of charter and in ordinance reaching out and working with me and letting me know what's on the table, what we might expect. It's a good working relationship. I think we're getting a lot more done, I think, during the last term. And as that develops, certainly happy to take a look at what's proposed and see how it might fit into a better working relationship to get the people's work done, which is really what we're doing here. Thanks very much.
Okay, thank you. So it sounds like at this point, I see no more hands, and I would entertain a motion to table this for the next committee meeting, give everybody time to think and to talk.
Yeah, I think it would also be helpful to look at maybe how some other cities have their procedural matters done in this regard. It might be interesting to look at Chicopee, which Solicitor Bissonette might have some knowledge of, and to see how their procedure is, maybe between this meeting and the next meeting as well. But I'll make a motion to table.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Brings up,
Motion to take up item 9.
thank you. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. On item 9, ordered that Council Rule 8L be amended to conform to the Council's practice with respect to approval of amendments to said rules, and further ordered that the Council take such measures as are necessary to affirm that rules amendments adopted in the past without strict compliance with Rule 8L as currently worded shall be deemed to have been validly adopted. And we tabled this a while back because I believe Councilor Vacan was concerned about the retroactivity
Right.
provision. And this is something where I would certainly like to have Solicitor Bissonette's opinion. The issue here came about because we discovered that the old version of Rule 8L, which possibly had not been seriously examined for decades, required that rules amendments be done by notifying the council of their introduction at the meeting directly before the amendment was to be considered. And the amendment could then be adopted by majority vote at the next meeting. But it couldn't hang on. It had to be the directly previous meeting that this was introduced. And as a result, we had been out of strict compliance forever. And after some discussion, it was agreed by the city solicitor's office that, and I've forgotten what we were amending that night, could and should be done by majority vote after the reference to council and having it come back in the way we had been doing it, but that the rule should be amended to actually reflect our practice. And, that part was not controversial. What was controversial was that in the meantime, almost the entire code of rules is probably, any amendment that was done recently or within the past many years was adopted out of compliance with the strict terms of the rules. So if we don't bless them retroactively somehow, we really need to torch them and start all over again.
So, can I make a point?
Sure.
So when we do our reorg after the election, one of the first orders of business that we do is to adopt the rules. So that is a matter of reorg. It's a matter of, I'm not sure where it sits, that we do that.
Yeah.
But that would be within any rules of these rules. So my position would be that in January, when we adopted these rules,
But we
the,
also,
the rules that were written then are the rules that were properly adopted. You don't have to go back before then, because that was the reorg vote of the new council. But I'd be interested to see what Solicitor Bissonnette says about that.
yeah, and certainly, I would ask Solicitor Bissonnette about that. The counter-argument would be, of course, that we also adopted, here's how we amend them. And,
In January.
we adopted 8L,
In,
yeah. So it's interesting, and I see a smile from our city solicitor.
The end of the last term ended those rules. And Councilor Bacon is correct that the first order of business after election of the president, according to the charter, is the acceptance of the rules by which the council conducts its business. So assuming, and I'm pretty sure it was in there, 8L, at the beginning of this year, then we would have only this term to contend with. And the only challenge that could be made to those rules have to do with failure to comply with 8L. So the 8L amendment now would certainly be helpful going forward. The question would be retroactivity. I'm not sure on that point. And so I would look to the rules changes that have been effectuated in the this term, and we may have to go back and just revalidate those, of which I think there's 5 or 6. But I'm happy to take any questions that you might have. But as far as the point about validation, I don't think you need to revalidate anything before 1/3/25.
Well, excellent. That makes everything much easier. Thank you.
Yes.
So as to the actual change in the rule without retroactivity, what is the will of the council or the committee?
can I just clarify?
Please.
I just want to clarify. So are you simply basically getting rid of the directly before requirement?
Yeah.
Is that really what you're, because I'm looking at this. This is the new language?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, and-
It's nice to see side by side, but I have my rules somewhere too.
Yeah, the problem with the old language was very
It was-
fussy. It was,
saying direct. Okay. Okay, so it says the preceding meeting instead of a preceding meeting.
yeah, it says the preceding meeting, and it is mandatory language, which,
Yeah. And I do believe, and the general interpretation has been looser, and that the order was considered the notice, and then
Yeah,
if it
and
got
we-
acted on later, it was considered okay.
yeah, and that has been our practice
Yeah.
forever. It just,
Yeah.
it was one of those fussy things
Well-
that you notice when you read, like, okay, this, it would be nice to get this clarified to reflect our actual practice. And it would be nice to bring everything that might be tricky into compliance with it.
Okay, now this language that I'm looking at here still says the preceding meeting. So this is the,
This is current 8L, I'm sorry.
yes, so
so
what are
we've-
do we have language to change it to?
I'm
looking at 9 here.
Yeah, we have unofficial language because I printed it out in case we didn't have it in our packets. No, that's not it.
Is all we're doing
this is-
eliminating the and changing it to a?
I'm not looking at the old language.
Oh, here.
But,
This is the old language. I believe this is the current language.
Madam Chair, I have the language on the screen, so I could make the amendment in real time if that's the committee's will.
So this is the current language.
So we're changing it to
So if we change the to a, that would do it, right?
yeah, this adds some extra clarification, but I don't think it's strictly necessary to fix it.
Preceding meeting. So,
And yeah, I still like the extra sentence.
so. Giving notice and then majority, that makes sense. Introduction and receipt. I don't know, I don't know that we need that, because we can always, if we suspend the rules, then they're suspended and you don't need to send something to committee. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes fewer words are clearer, just saying.
Well, in this case, I'm not sure that I agree, but I am not going to fight over it.
And there is, Madam Chair, there is a big distinction between the and a.
Right.
Yeah,
I would make a motion that we change the in front of preceding to a.
And then I guess my other question would be, it could be another year before a meeting comes up again. Or
No, the
means
sitting
next meeting.
council.
The next meeting means the next meeting, whereas a meeting could be 10 months away.
that's
But
the
it's
point.
giving the notice at a preceding meeting. Well, then it's the discretion of the chair or the discretion of the body. The body could vote to suspend rules and pass the change right there by 2/3 vote, or the body can send it to committee, and then the committee feeds back, and then it's a majority vote.
Yeah.
But that's standard. Sounds
Yeah,
right.
no, that's all standard, and as I reread this, what I was doing was, notice isn't defined, I added a definition of notice.
Oh.
Yes, thank you. Solicitor Bissonette.
That was going to be the point I wanted to make, that you can avoid this. But I think the intent here is with the notice, conceivably under this rule, an order can be filed to change a rule,
Right.
laid on the table, not sent to committee. Notice having been given by being on that agenda. The following meeting, the council could take it up off the table and then pass it. That would require 2/3 of the members present. However, this seems to give leeway, the way it's written, that you can take it up that night by a 2/3 suspension. So I'm not sure that this would allow notice. If you wanted to separate the two, I think, you could have Rule 8LA in the first sentence, and then starting with nor, 8LB, so that the two are separated.
Well, Counselor Devine.
My concern is the notice provision being upheld in all situations.
Yeah, and I was going to propose that we send you this language for review and take this up again next time.
Okay.
But Counselor Devine did have her hand up.
Yeah, I just had a question. If your city council shall be suspended unless 2/3 of the members present, does that include those on Zoom? So should we add something present or on Zoom? Or and on Zoom? Just thinking.
No, it's not needed under the
Okay,
current state law.
Okay, well, with the agreement of the subcommittee, I'm going to suggest that I send you the draft language I have, and you give us your opinion about how to manage this at our next exciting meeting.
Can you just read in the other language that you want to add?
Oh, sure.
I just don't have it.
Yeah. So, Rule 8L, no rule or standing order of the city council shall be suspended unless 2/3 of the members present consent thereto, nor shall any rule or order be repealed or amended without giving notice thereof at a preceding meeting, nor unless a majority of the whole council concurs therein. The introduction and receipt of an order to repeal or amend a rule or standing order to the council, with or without its reference to committee, at any meeting preceding a vote by the council thereon, shall be sufficient to constitute said notice.
So the submission of an order is notice.
Yeah,
Okay.
and,
Which I think is how we've been operating.
Yeah.
Basically.
yeah, and I was not trying to change this. I was just trying to make sure that the rules captured what we're actually doing.
Well, cart before the horse, but okay.
Well,
No, I hear you. It just
yeah, no,
happens.
this,
Okay.
we got
I just
it.
wanted to understand
Yeah.
what it was.
okay.
you.
So,
So I'll make a motion that we request Solicitor Bissonette to break this into proper parts, to have it clear in our rules, and then we'll take it up at the next meeting.
sounds good to me.
Second.
And all in favor? Aye. And Solicitor Bissonette, I will be emailing you this. So, motion to take up,
Motion to take up, hang on a second, item 10.
do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item 10, Panich ordered that Section 13 and 24 of the Holyoke Charter be amended as necessary to conform to any changes to Section 22, and to provide that, except where otherwise specified by the Charter or by state law, every ordinance shall be considered as adopted by final action by vote of a simple majority of all members of the City Council, voting in a recorded roll call vote. And we discussed this briefly at our previous meeting, and I believe put it down again to ask Solicitor Bissonette for advice and legal language. But as it happened, I went and looked at past orders, and I found what might be an extremely useful model for at least the Section 13 part of this. And that happened at some point in the last term. There was an order introduced to amend Section 13 to require inter alia that a two-thirds majority of all councilors would be required henceforth to pass an ordinance. And I found the language. It is at least a neat model. I did not find it in time for circulation before this meeting, but I have every intention of putting it in and circulating it, and also, sending it to Councilor Bissonnette. I believe that it was ultimately approved in committee and then put into legal form, which I also have here. It looks like it's exactly the same language in legal form or charter amendment form as it was in the original. And it was voted down on October 7th in the last term. I think the vote was something like 6-4. A bunch of people were absent. But, I still think that moving back to a simple majority vote for most ordinances, except where otherwise required by our charter or by state law, would be an important thing to do. And I also understand that, yes, I am attempting to put it into the charter because I think it should be in the charter. I think probably it is an oversight that it is not there. It is the norm. It is the only thing that makes sense of the override provisions. You vote, the mayor can veto, you can override the veto. This is just the way virtually everyone does it. And I am convinced that the charter would be written differently if it actually contemplated a supermajority rule for ordinances. And having said that, I see Councilor Masonette's hand up. Councilor Masonette? And yes, Councilor.
It's not showing. Oh, there he is.
She took it down.
I think it was old.
Oh, if it's old, then I do apologize. And
Madam Chair?
yes, Councilor Graney.
Yeah, my rationale for a two-thirds majority of the council is when we pass laws, it's a very serious thing. And the more councilors that we have on board for that particular law or that ordinance change, I think is very significant, especially with our population and the way we do business. And I think a two-thirds majority for passing ordinances is something that is legally sound, and I think it represents the general population better than a simple majority of the council to pass ordinances. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Bacon.
Yes, and on this matter, we have just taken steps to take things out of the charter and put them in ordinance. Why? Because I think the next step is to make it easier to change the ordinances. And so I understand the argument for efficiency, but on the other hand, I think there's an argument to be had for process. And I think to Councilor Greeny's point, when you have a higher amount of agreement, you could sort of liken it to the 60 vote threshold in the Senate, so they can vote on a matter, right? You have to get enough consensus to move the question, which to me is sort of what the two-thirds idea is. It does not void the mayor's ability to veto. The mayor can still veto. And if the mayor makes a compelling argument for why he or she is vetoing an item, I believe councilors could be persuaded, because we make our decisions based on a set of information that we have at the time. And from time to time, we've been known to change something in the face of new information. So I don't think it takes that away, but I do think it creates more of a coherent vote from the body. Again, I think those are there's arguments that have been going on since the founding of the country that I imagine will continue to go on. And I think this is one of those philosophical ones, but if we stopped short of codifying the prior ordinance in the charter, and now the other ordinance got voted, I think, right, recently, I don't see why we have to put it in the charter as another step to the old argument of not putting it in the charter, if you will. So it's just my point of view on it, but in any event, can we have the language? And then I'd like to make a motion to table till we can get the language and look at it for the next meeting.
Well, we can certainly get the language and look at it for the next meeting. I think that, unfortunately experience, and not only experience here, has proven that a 2/3 majority for everything is, it works brilliantly for extremely small bodies where there is already a high degree of consensus. Under current circumstances, it is a recipe for deadlock and for the kind of bargaining that unfortunately can go in very unpleasant directions. And the majority traditionally is supposed to work its will. The idea that a mayor could, that it's reasonable to have a veto provision that has the mayor overruling a 2/3 vote and then trying desperately to persuade people to switch their vote. A mayor is working the legislature anyway. If the mayor hasn't managed to block a measure that he thinks was critical enough to veto, the odds that he's going to do it after the veto, when the 9 votes to override are already there, it's an interesting hypothesis, but I don't think it's a realistic kind of argument for this is how a veto provision is supposed to work. And it's also unusual. Usually if you overlook putting something into a document, it's because it's so normal that you expect it to be there. If you're doing something unusual, you make sure that it is written in such a way that your will is expressed. You don't just kind of overlook it. And I cannot imagine that, given the charter we have, anyone expected that it would require a 2/3 majority for any ordinance change. But that's irrelevant, because we can make the change now if we would like. And I think that there is a certain security, as the councilors who wanted the 2/3 majority written into the charter last term believed, in putting it there to safeguard the ordinance change. Just give it one last layer of review. So I am hoping that the council as a whole will adopt this. I do realize that it's a big change and it's an important change, and I am perfectly willing to say, let's hand it over to our city solicitor. Let's all look at it carefully. Our city solicitor may not feel that this is the best model ever. I just was struck by coming across it from last year and the fact that the work has already been done. And any lawyer will tell you, they love having models. It's a good place to start. You can think about other ways to do it. But that said, I'm perfectly happy to entertain a motion to table it for now and let Solicitor Bissonnette have a look.
Well, I'll make a motion to table, but I'd like whatever document you're sending to Solicitor Bissonnette to be provided to the committee, because we don't have
Absolutely.
it.
Absolutely.
I mean, we may have it somewhere, but
Yeah, no, you all
we don't
have
have it
it.
immediately available.
Yeah, you've all got it in the relevant meeting packets, but I have it too. I'm happy to send it around to everybody.
Thank you.
I'll second that motion, your motion.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, onward to the next part.
Motion to take up item 11.
There a second?
Excuse me, before we do that,
Yes.
can we go, did we talk about section 24? We just talked about 13, didn't we?
We just talked about 13, and yeah, section 24, there were changes that were suggested by City Solicitor Bissonnette that also have to do with supermajority votes. That's the provision that talks about how with a financial order.
If I may, we just have to make a motion to reconsider and take it off the table.
I'll make a motion that we can reconsider and take it off the table.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
So we're back on 10.
So we're back on 10, and this is a provision that basically requires 9 votes if a financial order is introduced and the mayor wants it passed that night. And if there is a delay, if there's time to consider, the threshold to pass it drops to a simple majority. And I'm going to ask Solicitor Bissonnette to speak to this, because it struck me when I read it that it was basically an anti-abuse rule. The idea is that nobody should be able to push through a major financial transfer the night it's introduced unless there's a lot of consensus for it.
So what is Attorney Bissonnette recommended this language?
Whatever is in your packet, yes.
Under section 24?
Under section 24. I did not.
In response to your order?
No, well, I think my order said throw in section 24 to talk about Solicitor Bissonnette's suggestions.
Okay, so I would just say that we should have an order to be responding to that was filed by a counselor relative to this.
I filed it. I just,
Okay.
it was my file because I felt that our city solicitor had an interesting point about the charter.
Okay.
And that was worth addressing, but I filed it, he
Okay.
didn't. He, however, drafted the language for us.
Okay.
So I am deferring to the expert here.
So how does so can we get a side-by-side of this compared to what's in the actual charter? So we can do side-by-side and get it redlined so we can see the changes?
Sure.
Because, was a very helpful procedure that we've done in some cases. And
Yeah.
it just makes it easier to
Yeah.
look at it.
And it's on the same order, so it's not as though
Yeah.
we're splitting the order up.
Right,
So
right.
we'll move to add that request, and we'll put it on for the next meeting.
Okay.
And
So,
do we need to do a-
motion to amend
Or,
the order to receive the copies of the language relative to section 13, to also have a side-by-side redlined with the changes for section 24 for our next meeting. And that we can look at before the next meeting.
yes.
And then motion to table.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And, yes.
Sorry to throw that little glitch.
No, it was very
That was a good
useful.
question, actually.
And once again, I will be in touch with our city solicitor, and we'll get this done.
Okay, so now motion to take up item 11.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And as I recall, section 22 is basically the same thing. That has to do with thresholds for voting and the $200 threshold and whether that is ridiculous and we want to re-examine it.
So on this one, we have it lined too. We have the red line in it.
We do.
See? Well, it's black line, but we consider it a red line.
Okay. I'm just going to double check 24 now.
No, I just looked at it. Well, which one? The last one we just looked at?
But
No, the thing was done there.
this again is one where is $200 a reasonable threshold? And there has been sufficient inflation since the last time we looked at this that I think the question is really, do we feel that anything above $200 requires our attention, or would we want to Yeah. Do we want to make it some higher amount?
So I was a little confused because it was just deleting any amount. So then it looked like it was going to be involving any
Yeah.
expenditure.
Yeah, so this
But you're
actually-
looking to perhaps change the amount.
Yeah, this also is a good catch. This would take out the whole question of how much money is involved, and it would mean that we were talking about possibly 25 cents, which seems unreasonable.
Can't even buy this for 25 cents.
Well,
And I think that this is probably a scrivener's error here. I think probably this was intended not to remove any threshold at all, but to suggest the revision upward of the threshold for city council attention and for the,
so
the vote.
if I may, so the last I knew, $500 was still considered material in accounting relative to numbers. Mm-hmm. And so if you're looking to change the number higher so that we're not talking about $40 or
Yeah.
$210, are you looking to say change it to 500?
I'm looking to change it to whatever seems practical. And I see Councillor McGrath Smith's hand up, so I'm going to defer to her.
Okay,
And I think that this
Thank
came
you.
out of.
Yes. So this was something that I had looked at last term, and when I did the math, prices are about 36 times more than they were when this was last drafted, and so it's equivalent to around $7,000 now when you think about value. So just as a placeholder, I don't know if that's helpful to think through, but if you think about the value then to now, it would be the equivalent of about $7,000.
Councillor Bacon.
thank you. So I'd rather think about accountability and accounting and the balance of power between authorizing and spending and tracking. So I would defer to finance to ask what is considered material in accounting world.
Okay.
If it's $500, I'd like it to be 500. If it's some other number, then I would like it to be that number.
Counselor Bissonnette has his hand, Attorney Bissonnette has his hand up.
Yes. So we're going to Attorney Bissonnette and then back to Councillor McGrath, who also had her hand up.
I've often been curious about the $200 threshold, because given the changes in what the state DOR requires from the city in terms of budgeting and what our own ordinances require for city council approval, I question really what $200 or $500 or $7,000 would mean in terms of our actual processes. Is there anything now, Councilor Bacon perhaps might have a thought on this, that the council does not vote on for transfers for appropriations from free cash, God willing, and any other financial orders? I think pretty much council approval is required for anything that changes beyond the final budget document. So I'm not even sure in this instance a financial amount would be needed given the other constraints city operates under. And the other thing I think about some of this is they've included ordinances in with this sort of generic language that you can pass it by 2/3 on the night of introduction. I think that could be problematic for some things. But those are my thoughts on that one. Thanks very much.
So if I may, Solicitor Bissonnette is correct. I am aware that we see those, but what I am not sure of is always what was initiating them. If it was the charter or other ordinances. Now, some of them I know are transfers that we've stipulated we want to see. But other things, they're talking about any expenditure, whether it was appropriated or not appropriated. So
Yeah.
I'm just not always sure where those things came to us, from which vehicle, the charter or ordinance.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure. But I'd
Okay.
like to defer, I would like to hear from a finance person, relative to the amount. And maybe we can get a little more clarity.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, no, again, I'm happy to do that.
yeah, but if we don't need an amount, I just don't want to eliminate it entirely because I think it's an accountability piece in the charter. That's all.
Well, I think this is another, let us table for more information.
Okay, I'll make a motion to table for more information relative to the background of that
I'll second.
amount.
Okay. I hear a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And then
And
motion-
then motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.